Hey, what's happening, guys? I just had this realization that nature is being presented in the same way, like feminism has affected the way that nature is being presented to us. And it's like subconsciously the same message, okay, the exact same message we get for men is now being used for male animals. Okay, so basically, it went from this article where there was an ape and he had attacked a human child and eaten the baby, or they said they didn't. It was basically insinuation that it had happened in somewhere in Africa, and so the reading the article, you almost if you just substituted the word man for ape, male chimpanzee, adult male. That was what they were always using, the word adult male, adult male. And the adult male was always violent, and he was eating like other animals, killing other animals, and he was also, that ape, chimpanzee, was also beating up basically other apes who tried to encroach on his area, right? But when you think about it, what is the role of the male ape? We know this, right? This is like, I know that part of this is so obvious, but in another sense, did you realize your mind is being controlled? You are being programmed, okay? You are being taught that adult males are violent and, eating this and attacking this and killing that. And that message is always an adult male, but the story is never told because the reason okay, let's just put it into perspective. The male, in this case, the male ape, is taking the risk. So he's going out, and every time you get into a fight, you know that you're at risk of death. That's the truth. Every single time you can hit your head on the concrete, whatever. And it's the same with animals because they don't have medicine. So when an animal gets scratched or whatever, they can get infection, they can be injured, they can die, they can be attacked by a group. There's so many possibilities. Every time that an animal goes out and attacks another animal to eat, he's taking a big risk. He's taking a big risk every single time. So the male goes out and he takes a risk. But then the articles, and every time you read a nature article, think about this. The articles are presenting the male as acting alone. He's basically like just going out and killing, and then that's it. But the true story is obviously quite different, actually. Like, it's his role as a male ape. His role is to get food and then to bring it back to his family. And then who eats it? Who eats the food? Who eats the food is the female and the baby. Right? Every time you watch a documentary, the male goes out and kills, and then he brings it back to the cave or whatever, the tree or whatever it is, wherever the other. And this is the same with lions or any animal, right? But what you have now is you have a brainwashing media that forgets the part in nature documentaries in like. This is subconscious, guys. Children watch these programs. Small boys are watching these programs. And the male ape is shown as violent. They always show the male ape with his teeth out, looking very dangerous. And the female is always holding her babies and just sitting there all innocent looking, right? Those are the pictures, those are the images that you get today. But the reality is so different because that is his job. The female would die without that. And also she has equal responsibility, right? If we're going to say that animals should not eat each other, which is ridiculous in the first place, because that's what animals do, But some animals eat meat, some animals eat grass, right? There's different, the animals that eat meat, that's what they eat. And the ones that eat grass, that's what they eat. The ones that eat plankton, that's what they eat, right? And they never change. They never go from plankton to walking on, and getting a lion or something, right? So this is what animals do. So it's ridiculous to paint them as somehow flawed. I mean, we're watching the world, right? It's like, is is gravity flawed because you might jump off a building or fall and then die, right? Is gravity flawed? No, gravity's gravity, and then you just have to deal with it, right? You have to somehow protect yourself from these natural forces and the way the world works, right? So it's my thesis, and I want to throw it out there to you guys, is that nature and nature documentaries are another way, a very insidious way, to brainwash boys into thinking that they are bad. And also that it is deliberately, okay, I'm talking deliberate here. I'm not talking on accident. Animal documentaries are being used to present men, okay, males, as violent, toxic, and bad. And that is very powerful. You might say, oh, it's not that powerful. It is very, very powerful, because if you keep saying men are toxic, we're going to look around and you'll see like a man holding a child, or you'll see a man protecting a woman and dying, and you'll be like, I don't know if that's the drum beat on that one's a little too heavy. Like, I see a lot of nice guys out there doing things, right? So you're going to start to doubt the narrative that one sex is good and one sex is bad. But if you start to go deeper and you say, well, males, okay, men evolved from apes. And this is another thing that gets me. They always talk about man evolving from animals, right? I swear, go around and look. You'll never see women evolving from animals. Women never talk about evolving from animals. It's just deliberately left out. Women evolve. Women are animals. That's the fact. Men are also. We are very intelligent animals. That's it. It's simple as that. Women evolved from monkeys and apes and mold and single-celled organisms, and they are instinctual animals. And that is the way. I mean, it's so crazy how the world is right now. It's like men evolved from animals. Women somehow just showed up, as these creatures, these sugar and spice. Men kill animals. And then they give the meat to the female, but it's not her fault. It's not her fault. She is not any part of that. The reason why, because when you start to analyze the truth, is that it's tough for apes. It's tough to survive in the wilderness, right? They're barely making it, right? They need that meat. They need those animals. That is the nature of our planet, right? That is how it works. It's not something toxic. It's literally survival for each animal. And I guess if you could say it's the natural way that things are. It's the natural thing that we have to deal with. So whenever you see it, look around, okay, at children's documentaries, Disney movies, Nature, National Geographic, and tell me if I'm not right. And I've never heard this before. Animals are presented as loving and wonderful, and male animals are presented as bad. And this is evil. Really, seriously, this is brainwashing. It's terrible, it's evil, and this type of brainwashing, okay, is what creates, when you tell a child that he is inherently bad, that is called shame, okay? So shame is something that a child cannot do anything about. He is just inherently bad, right? It's not something he can affect. It's not like, he can put his toys away and then he'll be good, right? He can, get a good grade, or he can kick a goal, and then suddenly the shame disappears. Shame is the idea that at its core, at the child's core, that he is bad and there is no way to change. And that's why shame is so debilitating and terrible and considered like abuse. So we're talking about the abuse of men here. We are talking about the abuse, the brainwashing, the misrepresentation, and the propaganda that one sex is good and one sex is bad. And don't buy it. Do not buy it, and do not I really highly recommend not going the other way. The reason why is because it has nothing to do with you. This is an evil thing that is we're brainwashing children right now. Right now. This is I truly believe when you watch nature documentaries, okay, and start to post things below this video. Next time you see it, I'm telling you, it's all over the place. And it's also even in children's movies, TV shows and movies, where male animals are presented as toxic, they're presented as violent, and they're presented as antisocial, and females are presented as good. Women are equal in the good things, and they are not equal in the bad things. So in the example that we just talked about, where a female will eat the meat, that's not equal. That's not talked about. In fact, that's never even shown in these documentaries. The documentaries never show the truth, is that the lion will attack the gazelle, okay, and then he will drag it back to his cave. That's what happens. You can watch it. But today, what you're seeing is you're only seeing the male out there killing. The male is the violent, the male is killing, the male is aggressive, the male is essentially, it's the same story that we're hearing about men. But when you see it in animals, presented in animal form, then you start to realize, I hope this is a wake-up call to you. This is an evil, evil thing that's going on right now. And men need to stop it. You need to have a rational ability to explain things without being angry. It's very important, because if you as a man are, let's say, watching a TV show, and then you see what I'm talking about here, and you're watching, let's say, with your child, and then you suddenly go crazy and you say, look, they're presenting the man as this and that. The child does not, they're not completely, the brain develops over time, right? A young child does not really understand why, daddy's angry. He doesn't understand taxes. He doesn't understand social forces, propaganda. He just gets that daddy's like going crazy over something. So it is so very important to be able to explain things. And just to say, hey, look, there is the lion, yeah, and he is hunting, right? And he is getting, see that there, the gazelle, he's taking the gazelle, yeah. And then afterwards, and then show the child what happens, how it all works, how the cycle of life works, and explain to him, like, okay, he's taking it back, and then his children eat it, right? Like I go and I buy food and I take it back. That's how, nature works. That's the job. We all have roles in life, and the roles are somewhat flexible, but the roles, in real life, like any like real study, there's all kinds of gray areas where men do women's jobs and women do men's jobs. There's this like black and white thinking today. It's just so crazy. But anyway, you can explain it very, very rationally to the child, and he understands, oh, so the male is actually protecting the family. He is doing something very, very important for his family when he kills that other animal. That's a very, very important role that he has. And if he doesn't fulfill that, the males that don't fulfill that, their children die. And that's evolution. And so the ones that are able to hunt, the ones that are smart enough to catch an animal and to eat and to eat, kill it, and then bring it back to the family, those are the ones who survive. And those are what we are here. We are the survivors of, millions of years of this type of stuff. And here we are, right? And you can explain it to the child. And it's very, very important. I think even in your own mind, it's very important in your mind just to explain the story. And that in itself, stories, and especially true stories, will replace fake lies. Okay, you have to believe that. If you understand life, and if you can explain it in a rational voice, and you can show, children are not stupid. They you can try to, and that's what I see here today with the media. they're trying to present something that's not true. So the way that you beat a lie, especially a vicious lie like this, a shaming at the core, impossible to change, a basically soul destroying, abusive lie, the way that you beat this is not by being reactive. It's by being very, very intelligent and very, very calm, and then explaining the real story. In the end, children are smart, and they will hear, and they will listen, and they will learn. Right? That's important. That's your job. I think everybody listening, that's your job. Your job is we are seeing behind the mask. We are seeing the programming of that is not true. And it's important that you see it and can explain it so that it doesn't go into that. You see a lot of reactive men that is not making it good. That does not help. That does not help the narrative. And when men attack back, that's like the worst, because again, it's another propaganda. It's not true. Go with the truth, figure it out, and be able to communicate it simply, calmly, and lovingly, and explain the world. You know, the world's a beautiful place. It is. What men do, it's beautiful. It's loving. It's protecting. And what women do for their children, it's beautiful. We all do things, you know. It's like this whole crazy war that's going on. It just makes no sense. We are the most intelligent creatures on this planet. We are not below dogs, like people often say. You know, dogs are loving and humans are evil, you know. This is just hogwash and ridiculous. You are good. You listening to this, you are a good man. You do your best. You're trying to figure things out and improve yourself. You're not sitting around right now in a crack house. You're listening to a video that is a rational, logical video so that you can help yourself and help others. That is a good thing, right? That is a fucking good thing. Yeah, keep it that way. That is where it's at. That is where our strength lies. The lies, they fall under truth, but it has to be presented in the right way. If you don't present it in the right way, it just seems wrong. You know, that is important for guys to know. It's like if you go into court, let's say child custody, and you're agitated and you're like very angry and stomping around, and even if the words you're saying are true, that humans have this instinctual, what do you call it? Not need, but the reaction is that they don't believe somebody who has a body language saying something different than their words, even if the words are correct. So it's important that you have control and you've thought it through. You've processed this. So you're like, okay, I can see this. I can see these lies. These are terrible, terrible lies. And they're very soul destroying for boys. And this is not good. I don't want a world where boys think they're bad and women think boys are bad. It's a terrible, and also for a woman to believe that she is only love is very soul destroying for her too, because we all have to deal with our dark side. Hey, we all have to deal with our shadow, and that's how we improve, is by facing our faults, by facing our problems, by accepting our weaknesses. And when you tell a child that they are just perfect, they can't do anything wrong, they are only good, you are destroying that child. That is creating a golden child. And that affects that child's ability to live a good life, because they have never, it stumps their ability to work on the difficult things, right? Their mistakes, the things they can't see. When you present things in a realistic, honest way, but also loving way, right? And you say, you know, that is not true. You know, this is what happened. And the child, it's difficult, and these are the challenges of growing up. You have to face the facts, you know. I was dishonest. I wanted that cookie, right? I stole that cookie. I shouldn't, you know, and I don't want somebody to steal my cookies, so I shouldn't steal anybody else's cookies, right? That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we That's how we become strong individuals, both men and women. And this narrative today of women good, men bad is just, it's not good for men, it's not good for women. It is not good for society. So be the guy, be King Solomon, be the wise one who can explain. And, I think, personally, I think a lot of the reason why guys will get very reactive is because they're still working through it. There's part of their minds that still believes it or was very hurt by it, right? And that's understandable. It's very understandable. But it's also very important if you want to essentially be a force in this world. You need to get past that. You need to say, okay, I understand it's not right. This is propaganda. This is not good for men or women. It's not good for children. It's not good for society. It's not even true. So let's think about, okay, deal with the internal things, the frustrations, the different emotions that you have as you deal with, being brainwashed is no joke. I don't use that word lightly. I'm serious. This is like very dangerous stuff right now. So I can understand strong emotions. But after you get through that, you say, okay, in the end, like, here's how you bring the emotion out of it. Is you say, you know what? It's not true. And if something's not true, it's going to fall eventually. It's like WeWork. They were going to do an IPO, and basically, like, the tide went out and they were naked. We saw, a valuation from, like, I don't know what it was, like $70 billion to like $4 or something like that. And so the reality kind of hits. So reality is going to hit, guys. Reality will hit, and the more men that can logically understand, are mature, can accept, can explain. Children gravitate towards that. Children need logical, loving wisdom. And that's the thing. Society needs that. And even somebody who's trying to do the wrong thing, they need that too. Because we all make mistakes, right? And I think, I am going to end on this, I think a lot of this is subconscious. It's brainwashing. Brainwashing is by its very nature subconscious. And I'm going to talk about the subconscious mind because this is a very important topic for guys. Maybe one of the most not untalked about, ignored topics that guys really need to understand is how your subconscious mind works. Because a lot of the stuff online is like, pump and dump and this and that, logical, okay? The subconscious mind is the reason why you don't, let's say, for example, lose weight when you want to lose weight. It's why you don't get the goals that you want. It's a very powerful force. It's not some fake handjob thing. It's very real and it's complex. And dealing and reprogramming your subconscious mind is something I know a lot about. And this is how you make big changes in your life. This is really how you become peaceful and you kind of let go of the reactivity, is by understanding that your subconscious mind holds things. It holds things that you logically don't believe, but they're still, the talons are stuck in there. So I'm going to go into that. But this is like a beginning kind of thing here. And let's change the world, guys. All right. Hope you guys have a great day. And anybody who's can get time off, come to Melbourne, January 10, 11, 12. It's going to be fucking awesome. The guys, we're chatting right now, and you are very welcome in the community if you can make it. By the way, a lot of guys, you don't know, but you actually do need a visa to get to Australia. So most countries you need to check. I know for Americans, I need to go get my Australian visa. It's easy to do. You can do a lot of it online, but it's important. You need to know that before you arrive. Always make sure your passport has the right dates on it. It's not expiring tomorrow. Some countries are very strict about that. Another thing, some countries, I don't know about Australia, but some countries are very strict about blank spaces. If there's not enough blank pages in your passport, they'll say, well, that's not enough. It doesn't make any sense, but they won't let you in. So you got to make sure your passport's got blank pages. that you have an expiry date that's not too many days out, and that you've checked and all the boxes to make sure that you have the visa or whatever it is that is required. Because sometimes it's not so. It's surprising, right? Because like Japan, you don't need anything; you just go in. But Australia, you need a visa. Americans need a visa. I don't know what other countries, but you need to check that first. Make sure you get that. It's usually very easy. It's just a matter of checking it and just double checking it. Maybe if you have to, call the embassy. You don't have to pay any immigration guy. Just call the embassy. Check the embassy website. Usually they explain it pretty clearly. Anyway, guys, I look forward. I cannot wait to see your comments on this one. I want to start to unravel this evil propaganda, brainwashing, men are bad, women are good narrative. All right, you guys have a good day.